great fun.
Just got attacked by loads and loads of little ants and flying creatures. I don't think the doors were closed properly, so
Welcome to Thailand.
welcome to Thailand indeed.
Okay, so every teacher brings their own flavor to the art. If you had to describe your specific teaching style in 3 words, what would they be?
Very good question. If you look at every single teacher throughout Taiji history, every single one of them has a different shape, has a different approach, has a different experience. If you look at all of the different Taiji people, especially the ones on YouTube, you'll notice that not one of them looks the same. The Tai Chi is different, the forms are different, the way they approach the form is different, their experience is different. Traditionally, the Chinese would say, stick to one teacher. I met lots of teachers that have had multiple teachers until they find the right person for them. I believe all knowledge should be shared. That is my philosophy. All knowledge should be shared. Nothing should be kept secret, because that's how we lose the art. That's how we lose information. The Chinese, the old masters, they used to withhold information from their students until the student was ready. And then maybe the student challenges the teacher and kills the teacher. And then partly, maybe that's one of the reasons that they withhold the information. But the other thing I found, especially in my own experience, is that a teacher will want you to stay with them and just then. Okay, knowledge can be gained through everyone and everything. Everyone you meet can teach you something. Every experience that you have can teach you something. So maybe you go to one teacher and learn the form, another teacher you learn push hands. I mean, there are lots of teachers out there that can teach you all of these things. Everyone's really, really good at weapons. You know, my teacher, Master Ping in China, when I learned with him, he said he had about 5 different teachers and each taught him something different. One taught him Qigong, one taught him sword, one taught him forms, one taught him push hands, and then one taught him theory and principles. So this is why all of the forms look different. You also have to put into that ethos, everyone is different, everybody's shape is different. You know, I'm 6'6", and so my Tai Chi won't look like other people's because you don't really get that many 6'6" people practicing Tai Chi. Not really. They all seem to be a little bit shorter than me.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. So it's down to shape and injury and height and experience. I mean, every single form looks different, and that is the reason why. If you look like your teacher, then you are not doing Tai Chi. What you have become is a mimic of them, and you don't want to do that. Not really.
No,
because you learn. I've had teachers that said to me, "Oh yeah, practice this. Just do this, and eventually you'll get it." Get what exactly? That it's not explained. Stand in this posture, eventually you'll get it. No, you won't, because you're not explained.
Because you don't know what is there to get.
No. What are they trying to teach you? What are they trying to get you to expand? Yes, they call, you know, your Plumb must be, you know, strong. Well, what is Plumb? And again, there's lots of different definitions of them. The scope of this video is not going to go into that at all. You know, Plumb to me to me only, means to expand in all directions. Okay? And that's very, very difficult to do in the beginning. We're very linear in the way that we do things. We forget that there's a down and an up and to the side. You know, the body has to become rounder from the inside, so that you're blowing up a ball or a balloon. And that is my feeling or definition of Plumb, to expand in all directions, but it's so much more than that. Words can't quantify what I'm trying to explain. There's lots of things that the body should be doing. Expansion is just one of them. There's also, you know, some of my teachers have taught me that you go inside, and then people at Howard have taught me to go outside, you know, to expand my mind more, okay, to become of the space of and awareness of that space around me. Armand, my teacher in The Hague, who I met last year, I started mentoring with him last year. So I would say my current teacher. He also has this philosophy from his teacher that the mind not only is able to go inside but outside as well. Whereas you have people like Adam Meisner that, you know, the mind should be inside the whole time. Everyone's right. Everybody's right. It works. All of it works. Some a lot better than others, definitely, 100%. But imagine that you're inside your body the whole time. And then when you go outside of your body, then you're no longer constricting yourself to conform with those kind of ideologies and things. You go outside of yourself, and then the chi can move of its own accord. I think we get in the way a lot. It's a little bit like when we do healing. The mind gets in the way if we're always trying to go, oh, what's happening?
Thinking of what you're doing, right?
Exactly. So I believe that you need to get out of the way sometimes.
Expand consciousness.
And keeping your mind outside of your body also helps to develop this experience of floating. If we look at the Hermetic principles, which are fire, air, water, earth, and then the hidden one, which is spirit or Akash. When the mind works on the element of air, we start to feel this sensation of floating inside the body. The bones actually float. And then to increase that feeling and that sensation, if I put my mind outside of my body and I can still feel what's going on, but here I can now feel that as my mind moves outside my body, or my intention or my yi move outside my body, I can feel that, you know, my shoulders, everything wants to expand a little bit with my mind. And the more I expand, the more I'm able to just, you know, I open the joints, engage the fascia, and I can just kind of feel this feeling of floating and this feeling of stretching. So I feel we have to stretch inside and we have to stretch outside too. But that is this is my experience. It works for me really, really well. And this is how I've been taught by my teacher Armand. And this is how I came up with the concept of quantum unity balance as well. And adding affirmations to the Hermetic principles that I practice. I definitely know this is unique. But those Hermetic principles, those elements, help to balance the body. And what people don't see is the times where they see me in class, but they never see, you know, I've practiced for, you know, 3 hours on my own, and I've had an emotional release where I'm in floods of tears. They don't see that side of my practice.
No.
But that side definitely happens, especially when you're working with, you know, the elements and opening the body in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Again, lots of different ways to open the body. It's really important. You have to be aware that it will bring up emotions too. And that's a good thing, because we want these emotions out. And that's another reason why we need to leave the body and expand away from it, or expand into the field surrounding us. And if we can expand beyond the field, then great. Because then we can start to release all of the tension, all of the anxiety, all of the binding. And sometimes we can also release the physical pain as well when we release the mind from the body. You know, sometimes we're bound to our pain and our trauma, and opening yourself in that way will help you to release and heal those aspects of yourself. But again, all of these things take a little bit of time. Consistent practice is good. You cannot do these things for 7 minutes a day.
That's another conversation.
But that's it again. That's another conversation. I'm not going to go there. It's a comedy at the moment on YouTube. I feel there's so many Taiji exercises.
So many jumping on a bandwagon and labelling it Tai Chi, right?
But it's not Tai Chi.
No.
It's missing a vital element, like a vital element. And that's the internal. It's all external. Everything that they're doing seems to be external. But again, you can edit that out. We don't really need that bit.
It's fine. So, what is something about Tai Chi that usually surprises people when they start training with you?
If they've done Tai Chi before,
Sure.
they always say to me, wow, I didn't realise there was so much information. So if people have learned Tai Chi with me before, they always say to me, why didn't the other teacher tell me this stuff? All we did was follow on classes. We just did the movement. We weren't taught why or how. And I guess with my classes, I just explain a lot more. In fact, there's a lot of information to take in, which is why people always ask me for videos and demand more of me. Because I give a lot during the class, but even after class, oh yeah, could you do a video on this? Could you do a video on this? Which is why I have to.
Because you have so much time.
Because I've got so much time on my hands. Yeah,
yes.
Exactly. Yeah, lots of hours in the day that I'm not doing things. But really, when I do my own practice, it takes up to 3 hours to do my own practice. And the other thing is that I'm developing an online course, which will stop people from asking me to do the videos. But again, people try and they see the things that I can do and they want to do them immediately.
Yeah. And
it takes time. You have to gauge whether a student is ready or not, or they have to be ready. It's almost like when the right teacher appears, the student is ready to receive that teaching. So when they come to me, I think they're overwhelmed with how much information I give, but it's really important to emphasize how to open the body and to give them a little bit of a roadmap on what to feel, what to experience, how I feel when I open my body. Now, the first thing that I hear normally is, oh, my hands are tingling a little bit. And I will always turn around and say, remember that, remember the feeling, remember the sensation. Yeah, and try and recreate that as often as you can in your practice, in your daily life.
And that's the other thing. It's just not the fact that you give so much information, but it's people that never experienced energy before, like one of your students at the center. You know, the first time they actually feel something shifting and moving, sometimes kind of freaks them out because it's like, what is this?
Yeah, it does freak them out, absolutely, because they've not experienced anything like that before. They start to feel themselves, and I think this is the big disconnection. That people are so disconnected from their bodies that as soon as they start to feel something, they're
they don't recognize.
They don't recognize it's their own energy. It's not my energy; it's their energy. Everyone has their own energy. And I talk in terms of energy in my classes as well. Energy and chi and vibration and frequency, all of these things, really, really important.
Which is why it's mind, body, and spirit. You can't have one without the other.
Well, my teacher Howard explained it amazingly, and I was sitting in the class, the first one I ever went to, and I was getting ready, and I heard him say, just remember you are light, vibration, energy, and frequency. That's all you have to remember. And that was another aha moment for me. So I was just like, yeah, I know this. Of course I know this. This is something I've always known. And so I try and teach in that way, light, vibration, energy, and frequency.
100%. So how do you bridge the gap between ancient traditions and the needs of a modern student?
Traditions have their place, but everything evolves. Nothing stays the same. Nothing is static. Your energy changes from day to day. Your mind changes from day to day. I think it's to get back to that stage of harmony and balance and equilibrium where we are able to go back or straight into that feeling of connection with yourself and to be more of yourself. And I think when we practice, we're trying to get to that level, that level where we're able to be true to ourselves, we feel more ourselves, and when we're more ourselves, then we're not easily manipulated in any way, shape or form. We're able to stand in our personal power, but with conviction and gentleness at the same time. We're not harsh in it, or we may seem harsh, but we're not harsh. We're just standing up for our boundaries again. Something that's really, really important, which is something that Qigong and life has taught me. With healing, exactly the same thing. When you're doing healing on somebody, your ritual is always you have to set up a space, you have to set up yourself, you have to talk the person down normally because they're normally in a heightened state. They're normally at a point where their mind is racing, and so you take them through like a gentle meditation. It's important that spiritually you're protecting yourself, so asking for that protection. I think it's important to ask for things as well. If you want your body to open, talk to your body like you are talking to a friend, and your body will respond. Very much so.
And it's been proven recently, I believe, was it Harvard University? A talk that we saw. Yeah, they're actually proven at talking to your body, how it responds and heals and clears all the ailments that you are carrying.
Well, you're changing. If you talk to your body in a positive way, you are reaffirming positive connections. You're making positive connections. You're always changing but you're changing in such a way that you no longer want to go back to, you know, past energies, past frequencies, past experiences. You're always moving forwards, not looking for the next thing, but you're moving forwards with confidence. You're moving forward with knowing. And this is probably the most important thing. Once you start to experience the energy, it becomes a knowing. It's no longer a belief. Beliefs can be changed. Knowing is completely different. Knowing is direct experience.
It's solid within you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And it's about consistency. So everything you do, there has to be consistency in order to rewire your system. So it's not like you do it one day, you do positive affirmation one day, and a miracle is going to happen.
You have to dismantle the old self.
Yes.
The old self-image too, at times. In fact, just think about, you know, reverse engineering yourself is probably a better way of thinking about things.
Because you're changing your frequency, right? And as we live in such a dense construct, it's much easier to attract lower frequencies, right? So negative thought patterns.
Well, negative thought patterns feed off of negative influences around you. So if you're around negative people, then you'll just keep on attracting negative people.
Exactly.
It's once you start to change your mindset, raise your vibration, recognize your self-worth, realize love for the self, that's when things start to shift. You start to attract the right people into your life. And the right experiences too, you know, and the right synchronicities.
100%.
All synchronicities in general. It's all about your mindset. You know, you come across the person that says, I'm always ill. And so they're always ill. They draw that to themselves by the words that they speak out loud to other people. Whereas someone that is, you know, healthy, and they have a healthy mindset usually. They have a positive mindset.
Positive, yeah.
Basically. I mean, I'm an eternal optimist, as you already know. So, I'm a believer in the good to be found in all things and all people, and forgiveness is something that I rate highly among the things that should be cultivated in everyday life.
100%.
So no matter what someone has done to you, you're able to forgive, release, and let go. And it has to be proper releasing and letting go. It can't be just saying it out loud. It's
not just words, it has to be felt.
Words. It has to be felt. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's an emotional response. You can go through the ritual of, you know, release, but it has to be true for you. It has to be your truth. You have to speak your truth. If you're not speaking your truth, you're not being authentic. And if you're not being authentic, you're lying to yourself. And so you imagine lots of things, and the imaginings become your reality. And so you just live in a world of fantasy, and you don't want to do that. You know, we're not visualizing things in Taiji and Qigong. We're feeling things, you know, and that's the difference. We need to be able to feel what we're doing. We can't just go through the motions and not feel what we're doing. If we're just lifting weights, you know, without putting proper intention behind what we're doing, then you're just going through the motion of lifting that weight. You know, we have to exercise intention. We have to become very intent in what we're doing.
Energy flows where intention goes.
Exactly. We have to be really connected with ourselves, and that connection with ourselves leads to all kinds of magic.
Which is what has been lost, right? Everything does begin with yourself. Everything external is an extension of you within.
But everything that you've ever thought, said, done, lives within this matrix that surrounds you, or this energy field that surrounds you. And we have to reprogram sometimes everything that we've been taught, everything that we've been learned, because a lot of it is not true.
It's distorted.
It's distorted, exactly. We want to do has to reflect us and what we want to put into the world. Now, I've always wanted to help people. It's always been ever since I was little, holding the doors open for people, you know, and being polite. So my parents always told me to be polite and courteous. You know, that builds character, right? And character is super important. It gives you a framework to work on. So with the Taiji and the Qigong, you're building upon a framework. So you're opening your body by opening the joints. You're connecting to the ground, which is like connection to the earth, right? So working on the earth element. You're working with your skeleton. Your skeleton never lets you down, or has never let you down yet. You know, people are scared, you know, like if I stand in this posture for too long, you know, everything hurts. If you're standing in the right way, it doesn't hurt. If your joints are open, if you're standing with tension, you know, everything will hurt because you're using all your muscles and you're tired really, really quickly. But if you're open and stretched and expanded from the inside, you can feel all those connections all over your body. So we do the Jiangzuan, like standing practice. Again, a staple of what we do, and this is where people go, oh yeah, it's like standing meditation. You know, you just stand and think of nothing and do nothing. Not really true. There's lots happening. There's lots of stretching, lots of fascial stretch, lots of making sure that the spine is upright and balanced, your knees aren't locked. You know, just this real kind of, and it's standing with yourself as well, which can be what we call bitter work. Yeah, really, really bitter work. It's hard. People find it really, really boring. That's why I never introduce it too early in the practice. When you start to feel something, when you open the body, you start to feel these connections, start feeling more the energy, more yourself, start to feel the alignments, making sure that your weight is going through the center of your foot and not through your heel and not through the ball of your foot. When your spine is straight but not dead upright like this, just slightly tilted at an angle, and you can maintain the head upright with the tail connecting, 3 points connecting to the ground, as I would say. Then we can start to introduce the standing, because we're still at the very early stages of releasing the structure. We start to release all the binding in the body. And again, sometimes in the I Ching Ching, when we put the hands together and we press for a long time, and we're adding like a little bit of power, and we're trying to imagine like you've got like a piece of coal in your hands, and the more pressure between your hands, the more of a diamond you're going to form. Okay, and then all this heat starts to travel through your body, and this undoes all the binding, basically, and starts the process of melting away all of this nasty stuff that we've become very accustomed to.
Okay. When a student leaves your class, what is the one feeling or thought that you hope that they take home with them?
Good question. I want them to practice, even when they're at home, even if it's just a little bit. Even if they have to write down whatever it is in the class. that they need to do just to practice a little bit, rather than do one class a week, come back to me the next week, and they've forgotten everything that I have taught them in the previous class. Because each one of my classes, I always go back to the beginning. We always go back to basics, because that's the most important thing. Keep repeating the basics. Structure of right posture, opening the joints, opening the fascia, opening the connective tissue, or the white tissue if you like. So that's the fascia is the white tissue. They're like a web around the body. The web has to be stretched, otherwise it becomes dry and brittle and it breaks. And once it breaks, then there's no fixing it. So the fascia becomes dry. Once the fascia becomes dry, think of it as like a sponge. So when the sponge is dry, it's filled with dirt and all kinds of stuff, and you used it in your kitchen for weeks or months, and you haven't wrung it out, or you just kind of left it to harden on the side of the sink. Think of your fascia like that. If you haven't exercised in years, that's what your fascia is going to be like. So when you start to open and stretch, and when you do the I Ching Ching practice, the sponge becomes, we start to squeeze everything out of the sponge. The sponge becomes more alive. Moisture starts to come back into the sponge. Chinese say there are like 5 parts to your body, right? So skin, tissue, sinew, fascia, and bones and marrow. Think of your marrow as the physical manifestation of your life force, probably the most important part of your body. So when you're pulling open the joints, engaging your fascia, eventually we get to techniques like bone marrow washing and things like that. So it's important to practice these things. So if a student goes away and they just, don't do any practice at all, wait till the next week, then they're not really going to get much benefit. They'll get some benefit, but not very much. Mm-hmm. Consistent, regular practice, maybe 2-3 times a week. Maybe do like something from the online stuff that I'm going to do as well. Or, have a video that they can follow at home that I've given them. They're always welcome to ask for videos and things like that. And I'm happy to do those things for them. If it's little things, if it's like, do the whole form for me, then no. Things need to be broken down in sections. They need to learn how to walk before they can run.
It takes a long time to learn the basics properly.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it took me years. For years I just went through the motions and the movement, and I followed teachers that just said, stand there and do this posture, and you'll get it eventually. I didn't get it at all. I've always been a seeker of knowledge. Mm. And my knowledge has taken me to many different teachers, some highly acclaimed people that I'm not even going to mention their names. They don't need to be mentioned. But even some of like the top ones, all I was doing was feeding their pocket. Mm. And I did the same form for 10 years. And every time I went to their seminars, what I did was go back to the beginning and do that same form. We were promised lots of things, but we would never explain the fundamentals, the internals, nothing like that. No. And these were some of the Chinese teachers as well. And there was no language barrier, except for my teacher in China, Oh Haibing, Master Oh Haibing, who I learnt my Hunyuan 24 and my Hunyuan primordial Qigong set from. I also learned Yang 24 from him as well. He made me do it. He basically said I needed it to practice my grounding, or practice how to ground. So I trained with him for 5 years. Went to China, and there was a language barrier there. First time, a couple of times I went, his girlfriend was around and she was able to translate. But later trips, she wasn't there. And so the hotel was kind enough to give me a mobile phone that translated his Chinese into English. Chinese are very literal in the way that they speak about things as well. So kind of reading the translation was sometimes very jarring. And again, he was somebody, he could stand on one leg and you could try and push him over. In fact, he would say, you would stand on one leg and you try and push him over with all your force, and he would just, unmovable, definitely. Had a very high level of skill. He trained, or his teacher was Grandmaster Feng Jichan, so one of the treasures of China at one point. And that's a very long story of how I got to master air climbing. But
perhaps we'll have
he basically told me that the teacher that I had previously to him, because I wasn't Chinese, he wouldn't teach me in a specific way. So I learned a lot from him. And then at my later instruction, I started to learn about the fascia, and I heard about the fascia maybe 4 or 5 times, and then I started to pay attention. And once I started, working with the fascia, my Tai Chi and my Qigong changed overnight, literally.
How has Tai Chi changed the way you handle the storms of everyday life outside of the class?
I've had a lot of experiences over the last couple of years that have really challenged me and led me to like a really, really dark place. People haven't been honest about me, and it really hurt me at the time. If I hadn't, or if I didn't have Tai Chi, I don't know how I would have weathered that particular storm. The things that were said were extremely false. I was made out to be someone that I wasn't. And I've never experienced betrayal on that level before. Let's just say that. Tai Chi kind of pulled me out of it. It kept me sane. It helped me to stay here and connected to myself. It helped me to forgive and release this particular person and situation, even though it was hard. I had my practice to fall back on. And so it wasn't, in a room spiraling about all of these different thoughts that were coming into my mind. This actually really, really helped me to stick to my principles. It helped me to find my self-worth again. Because the practice helped me to shift that energy and that mindset that most people would have fallen into if the same thing had happened to them. Which I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy, the stuff that happened to me. It was probably the most trying time of my life. And this is when I found my mentor, Armand. So learning with him, especially the Hermetic principles, that I started to clear some of that, real toxic energy that had been pushed onto me by these individuals and through the experience. There were a lot of tears, and I feel that if I hadn't been practicing Tai Chi and Qigong, and with Armand's mentorship as well, it would have been a lot different outcome. I think I wouldn't have healed as fast, and I wouldn't have been able to release that emotional baggage either. I had a real connection to, or thought I had a real connection to this person in the past. And the Tai Chi and the Qigong really helped me to come back to myself. You know, because at the end of the day, you can only work on yourself, right? You can't heal anyone else, not really. You can help them, you can guide them, but you cannot really heal them, no matter what you do for that person. So I started to find my own personal power again through my Tai Chi and my Qigong practice. And that was like the biggest lesson for me. Coming back to myself, I feel that at that stage of my life a couple of years ago, I had kind of settled. I wasn't going to, progress anymore. I wasn't going to go to any more teachers. I was happy with what I was doing. I was going to stay at this level, if you like, that I had reached because I was comfortable with that level. I didn't think I could go any further because I had no drive to. But that situation in particular really helped me to push myself beyond what I thought was possible, beyond my limits. And I realized that my limitations were just another block that I had put on myself. And so I passed through that block and I empowered myself. And then that became my mantra for everyone else when I started teaching properly again. I've always wanted to empower other people and to heal other people. And so that's what I do. I empower other people. You know, their Tai Chi is their Tai Chi, their Qigong is their Qigong. Everyone has different aspects of their body that may or may not work, right? Everybody is different, everybody is unique, and that is where I come from in this standpoint of how I teach people. I teach people because everybody is unique. They're not all the same. You know, we are definitely not all the same. You know, I teach the elderly as well, and so there's lots of limitations that they have that other people don't. And so when I teach, I always say to people, you know, you make your Tai Chi your own, you make the Qigong practice your own, as long as you stick within the guidelines and the principles of what I'm trying to teach you, then you can't go wrong, really. And it helps you just to push your own boundaries. You know, I really found that my own boundaries became stronger through my Tai Chi practice and through my Qigong practice, because when my boundaries increased and I didn't become a doormat for anyone, my life completely changed. It was a very cathartic moment, and then I was able to forgive and release much easier. And I realized that I was, you know, the only person I'm hurting by holding on to resentment and unforgiveness is myself. So releasing and letting go, and really the practice, you know, working with my mentor really saved my life.
Nice.
Thank
you. Bit emotional. So, if someone is nervous about starting or feels they aren't flexible or fit enough, what would you say to them?
So, there are two schools of thought on this. If you were listening to the Chen family, they would say that you need a really, really low posture. That would be ideal for doing doing your practice. And then Grandmaster Feng changed that around completely and said, no, that doesn't matter. Height doesn't matter. Flexibility does not matter. You become more flexible. And your mind helps you to become more flexible. An inflexible person is someone that is immovable in their thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're completely immovable in their thoughts. You know, and they will set their limitations. And they will tell you when they meet you within the first 5 or 10 minutes what their limitations are. Oh, I can't do this, I can't do something else. You know, that's their programming. They program themselves, or someone else has programmed them to make that response. So flexibility is not important. You know, I can't touch my toes. Not in the way that modern exercise wants you to touch your toes. There are ways of touching your toes, which means to fold your hips and to be able to touch your toes in that way. And when I teach people this life hack, if you like, it kind of changes their perception. I mean, when you teach the elderly, most people will teach them like they're frail and they're old and they need to be on a chair. You know, that is not the case half of the time. Not the case. In fact, more than half of the time. It's not the case. That is a misconception. You teach them like they're a normal human being. That's all you need to do. You know, they don't have to be flexible. They just have to do the right motions, if you like. The thing about most people, and the thing about the elderly in particular, is when they extend a little bit, and I think that's exercise. Okay, so this is like, you know, I haven't even stretched open my joints or my fascia or my ligaments or my tendons or the sinew in my body, nothing. Yeah, if I overstretch where everything is locked, then my fascia is, you know, if I release, I get a small movement, but not very much. Okay, so if I overstretch, this is just as bad as, you know, not stretching at all. But if I stretch enough, and I open my joints and I engage my fascia, and I'm mindful, okay, I feel my shoulder open a little bit, my elbow open a little bit, my wrist open a little bit, my palm, the center of my palm from the inside open a little bit, and then I release, then I have this elastic quality to my body. So flexibility is not really important at all. People shouldn't be worried about flexibility. That will come once you start to open the fascia. You'll become more flexible. I'm not saying you're going to be able to touch your feet, but whatever is flexible for you will return. You know, the Chinese believe that what we're trying to do really is to become soft, like when you're a baby. You know, it's sort of like the lower abdomen is where your original master cell is. So your master cell forms first, so first brain, then your spine, and then your proper brain, so your second brain. So we always think with this first brain, and the master cell is always creating, always creating, always creating. And we're trying to get back to that point where, if you look at little babies, when they breathe, their hands and their feet move in unison. Their abdomens rise and fall. Yeah, they're not bound in any way. It's only life that binds us. And so when we start to practice, when we start to breathe properly, when we start to open the joints, we start to engage the fascia, this is when we start to really like reconnect to this elastic body. Yeah, so we're trying to create an elastic body. And again, it doesn't happen overnight. It's just something that we have to work at, which is why Taiji and Qigong are both, you know, longevity practice. You know, really important longevity practice.
Also, the way that you teach is very mixed, so it's not all standing. You do a lot of exercises sitting down.
Yeah, I do a lot of exercises seated. When I was learning with my mentor, Armand, we did a lot of seated exercises. His teacher is Mark Rasmus. And Mark Rasmus also emphasizes the fact that we need to sit down when we're beginning to work on stretching open the fascia, when we're trying to connect to the energy body. It's really important to do seated exercises because that helps us with the energetic part of the practice. And so, especially more recently, we can work on the form and things like that, but I don't find the form as important as working on opening the joints and stretching the fascia and being able to feel your body. So my Tuesday class that I do at So Holistic and Godaming is much more based on this feeling, opening the body, stretching open the body, opening the joints, engaging the fascia. Also working on, some of the fire breathing, Tumo breathing, which again, there's many different versions. I don't think there's a definitive version that's correct. I think, again, you can make it yours as long as you stick to the principles.
So, one last question so we can wrap this one up.
Mm-hmm.
If you could give the world one piece of advice through the lens of Tai Chi, what would that be?
Be gentle with yourself. Don't judge yourself. Don't judge others. Work on yourself first before helping others. It's a little bit like when you do healing for the first time, where you go on to a weekend course and you learn how to channel Reiki or something along those lines. And you leave the course and you go, I've got my certificate, I'm a healer. Healing starts with yourself first. And until you've done the work on yourself, you should never work on anybody else. You need to clear your own stuff first before you can work on anyone else. See, we have confirmation by the fireworks outside. So yeah, just be gentle. Yeah, just be gentle with yourself. Work on yourself first is my message, really. Yeah, work on yourself first.
Mm.
Get rid of all of your stuff, and you can do that through meditation, with your Qigong practice, with your Tai Chi practice is literally, if you're working on the form, I have half an hour of practicing, focusing solely on me and nothing else. When I used to go to China, I would do my Tai Chi practice, in the middle of the airport. I don't care who watches me. It's my time for myself. So making time for myself, again, was another really important thing for me. And it's important for everyone to have their own time to themselves, to work on themselves, to do their own healing. And Tai Chi and Qigong certainly helps to do that. Then they go on the internal work, again, stretching open the channels in your body, really taking yourself. So one of the main things I get with people is that they're breathing like this. And they tend to breathe really, really fast, or they tend to hold their breath. And so, again, I would just say slow everything right down. Slow down your breathing, slow down your movement. And through slowing down your breathing, slowing down your movement, you create connection. And when you start to connect everything together, everything makes much more sense. And then you can just focus on, once you've connected everything together, focus on the feeling. Okay, and then once you've focused on the feeling, you can focus on feeling like this calmness in your body, in your heart, in your mind. And again, the breathing is really good for you. Like the breath is connecting to the flow of life. Like Bruce Lee said, be water and flow with life. Try not to go against the current, but flow with life. We can never go backwards, we can only move forwards. And we don't want to live in the future, we want to live in the moment. And Tai Chi helps you to be in the moment. Qigong helps you to be in the moment. And that's all we have, just the moment. Because you never know what's around the next corner from minute to minute. It's just being present. Being with yourself. And not being distracted. Again, in lots of classes, and mine included, this obviously didn't happen in ancient times at all. You know, you'd follow your teacher, and there'll be no distractions. But today we have like the advent of mobile phones, and so I find more and more that every class I do, I'll say, let's take a water break. And the first thing everyone does is rush to their mobile phones. They rush to that piece of technology, that distraction. We had a wonderful thing here in Thailand where we went to a show. And there was a parade. And they didn't want you to record this parade at all. So they got you to leave your mobile phone in a locker whilst you went and visited the parade, which is brilliant. The only trouble with that is there are people that are addicted to their phones. And so instead of seeing all this spectacle, all of this magic,
only an hour.
For only an hour, exactly, only an hour, they all rushed, not they all rushed, but about 30 people rushed to get their mobile phones.
Didn't last 10 minutes, really.
Didn't last 10 minutes. Couldn't sit there and watch the show. Couldn't be without their devices. Really, really sad. And the other thing that's happened is with the pandemic and everything that happened with that, we also have a lot of people that don't come to classes anymore, that just want online classes, which are okay. You can learn a lot online, but if you're going through your teacher and they're doing online classes, brilliant. YouTube, different story. Okay, I have too many people coming to me saying, I've learned my Tai Chi on YouTube. And then you see their Tai Chi and it's not so good. There's a lot of errors within their practice, which you then have to correct. Anything else? Is there anything that you can think of that you want to ask me?
Yes, but that'll be for another video, because otherwise we'll be here for another hour. However, Are there any lasting thoughts that you would like to add that you feel important to mention?
If you go to a class and you're just following your teacher without any explanation, leave.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to learn anything. Okay? Your teacher needs to explain to you why you're doing the movement, how to do the movement, how to deconstruct the movement if possible, how to open the body. I like to teach my students, or tell my students, you know, if they start to say, oh, my hands are tingling, I like to explain to them, you know, that is like the first key, if you like, of beginning to feel what's happening inside your body. So you really want to be able to find a teacher that will explain to you how to move, how to feel. They can correct you, tell you what you're doing in error. They can teach you about opening your spine. They can teach you about nourishing your organs, how to breathe properly. You know, some of them will teach you how to tap the meridians, dredge the 8 channels, or dredge the channels of your body. But yeah, follow-on classes, just leave. They're not very good for you.
Mm-hmm.
Just find a teacher that has lots of integrity.
Mm.
Integrity, honesty, share their knowledge. And that's all you need. Because once you find the right teacher, you'll know. You'll be connected to that person.
Mm.
You'll feel that you want to learn with that person.
Mm.
Always kind of go with the, you know, they say the gut feeling. But like, feel it. If you go to a class and you don't connect to that person, you don't feel they're right for you, then find someone else. But yeah, don't feel like you ever have to be forced into like doing a class, like a follow me class. Because those are the classes that I've found are the least
Effective.
Yeah, thank you.
You find yourself 10 years down the line.
And 10 years down the line, all you've done is like stand in a posture that you have used your limp noodle arms to hold, and you're not getting any benefit from it.
Mm. Yeah.
Relaxing does not mean collapsing.
Mm.
And song is releasing and letting go. Again, some teachers will misinterpret song as to relax. Think of it more as release. So you're releasing the internal structure and all the pressures inside the internal structure. You're trying to create space in your body so that the chi can flow smoothly throughout.
Mm.
And it takes a long time. It's not a quick fix. Again, it's not for everyone. You know, some people would rather, you know, learn like how to fight. That's me. I'm a lover, not a fighter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's why I teach in a much more spiritual way and in a much more healing way.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say healing rather than do for your health, because there's aspects of what I do from the prana dynamics and from our minds and from my own personal experience with like the push hands and things, where I will use the energy to show people how to open the body up and to let that energy flow.
Mm.
Usually into the other person to help them move. It's not a mind trick.
Mm-hmm.
It's just connection.
Mm.
Like Howard would say, you make yourself one with that person. And when you make yourself one with that person, then you can, you know, when you move, they move.
Energy transference,
Yeah,
in a way.
in a way.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when your fascia opens and you connect to somebody, your fascia controls their fascia. If you are more released than they are,
Mm-hmm.
if they're more released than you, then
Mm-hmm. It's a bit harder.
Yeah, it's like when you see two people and one's really released and open, and the other one's like really, really stiff.
Mm-hmm.
You know who's going to win, if you like. It's, again, not about winning or losing. It's about
You know who's in
experiencing
control.
and feeling and learning how to use your body to feel what's happening inside the other person internally.
Mm.
Being able to touch and feel all the way down to their feet and underneath their feet as well, if need be. Well, not me. That's
Yeah.
so the rooting. Again, it's through experience. You can touch somebody and feel their tension. Sometimes you can feel their emotion too.
Mm.
As a bit of an empath, I have always struggled with that aspect because I feel people's emotions probably too much, which is why I'm a good teacher, really. Just because I can feel things that normal people can't. Makes me a good healer as well, because I can feel where people are blocked or where they need the healing as well. And again, that's another aspect of Qigong, which is really important. It helps you to become a very good healer. And I think we'll call it there.
Yeah. And very quickly, we shall put this in the comments and in the notes, but where can people find you? I know we're working on your new website and a new information and videos and courses, but at the moment, where people can find you?
Okay, so they can find me at www.taijiclassesguildford.co.uk, and from there you can email me to book classes. You can find me at So Holistic in Godalming as well. So I do healing as well as offer Tai Chi and Qigong classes. But again, all of this stuff you have to ask for. So the healing side of things I do when people really need it. And I can be found at the Divine Light Wellbeing Centre as well. Remind me of the address again?
We are in Colgate, which is between Crawley and Horsham. So 3 minutes from Peace Pottage Services in West Sussex.
Perfect. And you can find me on Facebook as well. But you can find me through the Divine Light Wellbeing Centre or through So Holistic or through the website that I've just offered. Or you can email me at chentaiji.dp@gmail.com.
And how do you spell Tai Chi? Because there's variation of spelling.
Oh, yeah, okay. So TAICHI.
Okay. And also, they can WhatsApp you for your number.
They can, and people can become members for £80 a month. And all of my classes are £20 per session for an hour. And I offer private classes as well. Those are £80 to £100 depending on your location, and I can come to your house and teach you from your home if you would like. I also teach online. We'll probably do Zoom sessions for that. And I offer a yearly course as well. but we're working on that one at the moment. So that is going to contain a mixture of online classes, private classes, and normal, person-to-person classes, group classes. Yeah, I think that covers about everything. So thank you very much for talking to me today.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
And I shall see you on the flip side.
Yes, thank you very much. Thanks, everyone.